How is training camp going so far, Coach?
Really good, really good. Much like probably all coaches are going to feel, the energy is really high, right? There's 12 teams in the WNBA that are excited to be doing what they're doing. It's been a long off season, so we're excited to get back together. And I'm sure every coach will tell you that the execution is not where they want it to be. The energy is awesome, but your challenge is now to marry those two. The energy and the execution, what you're trying to do. But I like to gauge progress. Do we make progress within a practice? Do we make progress from day one to day two? And I feel like we did that. Are they understanding what they're supposed to be doing? Why? The next layer is, okay, it didn't go like we planned. What do we do now? Things like that. That we just don't have a lot of time. We have 2.5 weeks to play a game. We're playing, obviously, preseason games are so valuable. But we just don't have a lot of time. Like I said, you don't have 3, 4, 5 weeks of, slowly building and learning.
Right.
You got to get right to it.
Last week you chatted with us about starting with defense, more heavy remain.
Yeah.
It might have been more heavy on the offensive side.
Yeah.
Has that been? Have you stuck to that
we
schedule?
We have. We're pretty far into practice before I get a chance to get the offense going. But I think it's been really valuable that they understand what we're trying to get done and what our non-negotiables are. And it's also it's an opportunity for a few players that are trying to make the team. We talked about you have to bring value, and value, if you're only going to play 5 minutes, 8 minutes, how do you make an impact on the game? It's probably on that side of the ball. Occasionally, maybe you get a player that's the offensive spark. But, generally speaking, being trustworthy and dependable defensively, being able to ball pressure at the point of the offense, or maybe fight the post and don't let your player catch, finishing plays with rebounds, understanding those things, that's what gets you on the floor. Then it helps you get separation in the game if things are going well, so you're buying time for the group that is going to play 30 minutes.
Are you seeing things in players that maybe you didn't anticipate as new things? Oh, I can use this. Or is there a trade-off in how much you have to adapt to them as much as they have to adapt to you?
Yeah, I don't know the answer yet, but I know that what we've to this point, what we've constructed in terms of style play is based on the skill that we have, what our strengths are, what we perceive our strengths to be. We're much further along with that than what we were this time last year. Much further along. Because I got to tell you, there was a lot of I just didn't know exactly. Of course, we have Fee, but Fee was coming off of not playing basically the year before, and so just the whole group. There's some new players, but they're veterans. And we have a lot of 2019ers. That I think we have at least 4 that were in that draft class, and so. Heidemann, who played a lot of minutes, played for a great team, and so it's just coming in here and giving us the same things, giving us the energy. Her pace has been terrific. She's in great shape. So I think it's really we're always going to be tweaking. We're always going to look at and go, okay, well maybe this is a play that we love and we think they're going to be great at it, but then they're running it and it doesn't look quite right. Then we scrap it and we find something else. But we're not quite there yet. Partly, Fee's not been out there, K-Mac's not been out there, BC's not been out there, so we just haven't had, obviously we have Dork overseas and Sika overseas, so there'll be a few challenges with that, but we'll see those guys on Thursday. They'll be at Media Day, obviously, reporting for Media Day, and then actually getting on the court and getting through the plays and see what we have. That's a big day for us.
How important, well, obviously you want to win, but in such a short amount of time, how do you juggle practicing with preparing for a game?
Yeah, I think everything you do is supposed to be about winning the game. So we don't necessarily talk about winning the game, we talk about winning possessions. That's our focus, because winning possessions allows you to win the game. So, winning the game is a larger picture. If they're of the mindset that if we do what we're supposed to do, to win a possession over the course of the game, hopefully the outcome is what you want, assuming your offense is halfway decent.
With the flurry of transactions over the season, a lot of these players have played with each other in the past.
Yeah.
What have you seen just early on in training camp, the chemistry between the players and the group as a whole? How have you seen it grow just over these short period of time?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It certainly wasn't intentional. We look up and we've got a bunch of Chicago players. It wasn't intentional, but the helpful part of that is what you're saying is that they know each other. they're learning Minnesota Lynx, but they're doing it together and they can communicate. There's instant communication between them. They know how to talk to each other. They know each other's games, and they've been, I think, really good at helping each other. Like I said, learn what the Minnesota Lynx like to do.
For a player like Peely, who we obviously talked a lot about last week, things that she's already mastered in a game on the offensive side and things, to learn on the defensive side. How do you sort of measure success on that side of the ball for her so it's not like...
On the defensive side?
Yeah, so it's not like, feeding information through a fire hose.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great question. There are basic things to allow a post player to be dependable and trustworthy, right? And so we communicate those things. That get these things done. We will help you with some stuff that you're going to face in the game that you haven't seen before, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. These basic things allow you to be in the game and build trust and dependability. Don't necessarily want to share those things because obviously it's our schemes. But yeah, it's got to keep it simple. Because the thing that we've tried to do here is keep it simple. So that players are performing and not thinking and trying to perform. That's when it's really ugly. So once you get past the first, second day, like our next practice, tomorrow's practice should be even sharper as we sort of limit how much we're giving them. And certainly it's true with somebody like Peely who's trying to learn at a fast rate.
A couple things on Diamond. One, just the leg injury she had in the off season. I know she's been in here for several weeks working. Is that completely past her?
The injury?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I haven't heard anything, so I'm assuming that no news is good news type thing.
Right.
But I will check in because I think moments in practice that I need to know whether something happened because maybe she's not quite there yet, or do we need to hold her more accountable? So that's on my mind today. But in terms of she's been in everything. I've not seen her not be able to do something, or I haven't seen Chuck come over and try to take her off the court. So again, more day after day after day. Let's see what's happening.
And she got a lot of praise last year as a rookie for coming in, being a sponge, absorbing everything.
Yeah.
Still a young player, but she's a young vet. Have you seen any kind of like difference in mentality or just the growth?
Yeah, I think her movements are to where she's supposed to be and what she's supposed to are quicker, right? Because she's already done it. Anytime you do something for a second time, you have more experience with it. It's a little more natural for you. So I've seen that, and I've also seen her communicating to the ones around her that are new. Right, so we've had to accelerate that process for her, and it's at a training camp like this where maybe you don't necessarily have a lot of vets. Courtney's a vet, but she's kind of learning too what we're trying to do, and so Diamond's actually the one that's heard all these things before, as far as the players that are out there.
With Olivia coming from Europe, and I think there's a very different style in EuroLeague basketball. Has there been not any difficulty, but
adjustment?
Is it a noticeable difference?
Yeah, it is on the defensive side.
Okay.
On the defensive side more than the offensive side. The offensive side, she does what she does.
Right.
So I think that part of the game is okay. We probably have players that run to the low block more than what she's used to seeing, because in Europe it's everybody, all their bigs like to be more perimeter oriented, especially in the screen and roll. But I think for her, it's probably a little more on the defensive side as far as adjustment.
Coach, how much of the Wolves game did you catch?
All of it, every bit of it, and I was so wired after the game. It was late. I had come back in from Knoxville after sleeping only a couple hours, but I was so wide awake. I was also sick for Finchy. Like I felt that, so I didn't go to sleep for a very long time afterwards. We've had many, many great moments in Phoenix, and I have a visceral reaction that even though I'm not there, I feel like I was there, and I felt those moments of them breaking the Phoenix Suns. You feel it. You feel when it happens, and you have like this reaction. There's not a better feeling when you're doing it on the road. That's one of my favorite things, and so I was pretty darn wired. I can't even imagine how they felt, and it's hard to do. It's obviously Phoenix is a good team. We're playing great. That defensive possession everybody's going to talk about. That ought to be something that is like for a clinic of what you're trying to get done defensively in the effort. Now I didn't say that very many times in my 14 years of being the Minnesota Lynx coach about the Timberwolves. So this is by far their best defensive team, and it is so fun to watch.
you ever had a close call or collision like thing? With
Yeah,
this?
last year it made me think of it. Tiffany Mitchell got me. You try to get out of the way, but they just come so fast, and I got clocked. I got a forearm to the head, my glasses, and I was pissed at Tiff. I was like, God damn, get control of yourself. But no, it's scary. It's scary. Some of the stuff that we do as coaches is dumb. Like we're not fast enough to get the hell out of there. So I'm not saying Finchie was dumb. I'm not. Don't put that on him. But there's times when I go, even at practice, I put myself in spots and I'm going, that wasn't real smart because I can't get out of there. So, but you just get caught up in the moment. But best wishes to him. As he embarks on this rehab and just another distraction for the Wolves.
Can you? How much harder would it make coaching with a torn patellar tendon?
Well, I've never done it, but I imagine he's going to be going through, still some pain and surgery and just mobility. Right. I mean that's kind of tough. My understanding is, it's going to be a little while before he can be mobile like he wants to be. But I know this: he's a tough dude, and he's going to figure it out.
It's a good thing they have a few days off for him to
Absolutely,
right?
yeah, he'll be ready. Yeah.
Well, what I read is that he's still going to be able to be on the bench.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
And that's to have that presence there is really good for him.
I think we got to make sure that whatever the day of the game is, the day before that he's on, we have a status report on the injury, whether he's going to be active or not. Put him on the injury report. Probable, maybe. Right. Poor guy. But all right, hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and we're excited to be sharing the facility this time of year. Figuring out how both teams are practicing. This is utopia for us. So,
It's not
all right, y'all.
thing.
Sure.